Hey guys, TraderDC here, coming at you with another video. Back in 2016, on November 18th to be exact, Eurogamer put out a report saying that Pokémon Sun and Moon would be getting a third version titled Pokémon Stars that would be coming to the Nintendo Switch during the holiday of 2017. I remember at the point in time when this rumor came out, I was so excited. I was so excited to see that we would be getting a Pokémon game on the Nintendo Switch, and not only that, but it would be an enhanced version of Pokémon Sun and Moon. Obviously, as we fast forward in time, now being the year 2026, 10 years after this report came out, we now know that this is something that straight up never happened. We did get an enhanced version of Pokémon Sun and Moon for the holiday of 2017, but those came in the form of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. They were on the 3DS, not the Nintendo Switch. So today in this video, I want to discuss the story behind Pokémon Stars and what exactly happened to it, because this story had credible sources behind it. This story wasn't just something that came up on 4chan or Reddit one day. It was made by Tom Phillips, who is a person who has a track record. So as I said before, this article was posted back in 2016, and Tom Phillips at the time had said that we would be getting Pokémon Stars, an HD enhancement of Pokémon Sun and Moon that would also serve as the definitive edition of the game, introducing new Pokémon to the Alola region. These are all things that happened within Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so that part of the information was correct. However, the whole Pokémon Stars thing coming to Nintendo Switch wasn't correct. The interesting thing about this, though, at this point in time in 2017, as we were building up to the announcement of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Pokemon had a merchandise push come out called Look to the Stars, and it was all Stars themed merchandise about the cosmos, right, in theme of Sun and Moon, and now we had Stars. So I remember at the time, people, including myself, thought that, okay, this is an indication of a teaser towards Pokemon Stars being announced later this year. We even had Junichi Masuda talk about Pokemon Stars in a tweet on Twitter, and that even fueled more to the fire behind the Pokemon Stars rumor. And of course, when Pokemon had a presentation in June of 2017, I remember exactly where I was, and we didn't get the announcement for Pokemon Stars. We got the announcement for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So what exactly happened here? A lot of people at the time thought that Tom Phillips and Eurogamer just straight up made up the story, and Tom eventually put out a follow-up article saying that, hey, this wasn't made up. They used 3 sources per every article, and his sources said that they saw Pokemon Sun and Moon running on the Nintendo Switch and that it was going to come out in 2017 during the holiday as Pokemon Stars. He claims that apparently Pokemon Stars, along with other 3DS games such as Metroid Samus Returns, were going to come to the Switch. Basically, these 3DS games were going to get enhanced ports on the Nintendo Switch in HD, and essentially what happened was the Nintendo Switch was so popular that Nintendo decided to change their business plans and no longer make 3DS ports for the Nintendo Switch because they no longer needed them. Because if you guys recall, at the time at which the Switch came out in 2017 and even 2018, they couldn't really stock the product. They kept running out of stock, and I remember for a while you could not walk into a store and just buy a Nintendo Switch like we see with the Switch 2. The Switch 2 has been much better at handling stock issues despite the fact that it's selling like hotcakes. I'm gonna be honest, my opinion here on this story is I don't buy the reasoning that Tom was given as to why this game didn't happen. And there's a few reasons as to why I say that. Number one, Nintendo has been no stranger to having ports come to the Nintendo Switch. We had a plethora of Wii U ports come to the Nintendo Switch. There's no reason why they couldn't also have 3DS ports come to the platform. Furthermore, I don't think when the Switch came out in 2017 and it started selling like hotcakes on March 3rd, Nintendo could all of a sudden say, hey, remember that game Pokemon Stars we were doing for the Nintendo Switch? We're going to pull the plug on it and we're going to release Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon instead and announce it in June. There's no way that between March and June they could change those plans that quickly and basically get Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon together to have those games released for holiday. That's just not feasibly possible in my opinion. There's no way you can just slop together the two, fusion forms for Necrozma with Solgaleo and Lunala and have those both play a major role in the story. Like, if you were doing a singular version for Pokemon Stars, it probably would be pretty different from what we actually got in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, given that, again, it's a singular version of a game. It's not these two different versions in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon with these two different cover legendaries. I just don't buy any of that. I mean, yeah, in theory, they could have handled it like Legends Arceus, and you choose which Pokemon, Dialga, or Palkia in that game you want to fight at the end of the climax, at the end of the story. They could, in theory, have done that with Solgaleo and Lunala, but again, I just don't buy that being the case. Circling back to Tom's article, though, I do believe the Pokémon Stars rumor. I don't think it's something he made up. I don't think it's something his sources made up. I do, however, think the information was misinterpreted by whoever the sources were that gave that info to Tom. I think what probably happened here is someone within Nintendo or Game Freak or the Pokemon Company, whoever his sources were, they saw Pokemon Sun and Moon running on the Nintendo Switch. This is something that Pokemon does for every single new game. If you look at the leaks we've had from the Terra Leak, every single new game that is coming out has the prior protagonist as the test subject for that new game. So, for example, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were built on the Sun and Moon engine. They probably had the characters from Sun and Moon running around on the Nintendo Switch in testing for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I'm thinking that's probably what the sources saw, and they immediately thought that, hey, Pokemon Stars is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I don't know where that, codename came from. Maybe that codename was an internal just testing they were doing to see how their engine would run on the Nintendo Switch, and whoever saw that thought that that was going to be a full-on title coming holiday 2017. I do think Pokemon Sun and Moon was running on the Nintendo Switch. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that the person saw that. I just think that somewhere along the lines it was misinterpreted that, hey, this was a product that was going to come to market, where it most likely was just internal testing for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Now, to wrap things up here, I wanted to talk about what I think about Pokemon Stars inherently as a product that could have come out, and what I think about the products that we actually got in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So first and foremost, regarding Pokemon Stars, I think that would have been a fantastic idea, a very low-effort title, honestly, for Nintendo to do, to have Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch for holiday 2017. Quite frankly, I wish that was the direction they took with the definitive edition for Pokemon Sun and Moon, because I feel like Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they're not bad games. I know they get a lot of hate. I don't think they're bad games. I think it's just you release them a year after Sun and Moon. I remember when I was playing through Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I played both versions of every Pokemon game that comes out because I have a full living dex. I want to catch every Pokemon. I want, to play both versions of the game. And I remember when I played Ultra Moon, I was kind of bored by it because I was like, I just played Sun and Moon a year ago. I'm now playing Ultra Moon now. And right after I played Ultra Moon, I ran to Ultra Sun to get, I believe, Blacephalon was the exclusive Ultra Beast in Ultra Sun, and also the Necrozma Fused Solgaleo form. I wanted to get that as well. And I remember when I played through Ultra Sun, I straight up turned off the animations because I was like, this is the fourth time I'm playing this region in the span of a year. Like, I don't really want to be doing this all that much. And I feel like that's the first thing, is they released Ultra Sun and Moon too close to the release of Sun and Moon. We didn't need that game a year after Pokemon Sun and Moon. Maybe 2 years later if you want to do it, sure. But the other thing as well is I feel like that problem is solved if you just had that game be on the Nintendo Switch. Like, if Pokemon Stars happened and we had this Sun and Moon revisit on the Nintendo Switch, I would have been more than happy to play that on the Nintendo Switch. And I think a lot of fans would have enjoyed playing the Alola region on the Nintendo Switch. Furthermore, I think the fallout from this is when you had this rumor out there, and from a credible source nonetheless in Eurogamer and Tom Phillips, what ends up happening is people become excited for it like I was. People are excited to play the Alola region on the Nintendo Switch. People are excited to get a Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch, because remember, at that point in time, we did not know about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee. We did not know about Sword and Shield or anything that would come after that. This would have been our first Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch, our first Pokemon game on a home console, on a platform that you could play on your TV. This was huge. People were excited about it. I was excited about it. Then the moment Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon get announced, all of a sudden, everything falls off a cliff. That excitement goes right down the drain, and now people basically take their disappointment and put it against Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so therefore those games are going to suffer even more because people were excited to play those games on the Nintendo Switch, and now that it's not on the Switch, it's on the 3DS, the disappointment is going to affect the sales of that game. Not only that, it's going to affect the perception of those games. So I feel like Pokemon Stars, while it was something that, in my opinion, would have been a better idea than coming out with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon a year after Sun and Moon came out, I do think that this rumor did damage the franchise at the time a little bit, because I truly do believe it hurt the sales of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because people were excited for the first ever Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch, and then all of a sudden, that wave of excitement came crashing down when Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were announced, and people criticized Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I remember people complaining about those games when they came out. So all in all, I do believe that Tom Phillips had sources who did see a Pokemon Sun and Moon port report running on the Nintendo Switch. I just think those sources misinterpreted what they saw, and then we had this whole mess of a situation with Pokémon Stars get announced or revealed to the public in this article, and then everything else came crashing down after that. Again, I do think this was something that they did indeed see. I don't think they made this up, but it's probably not something that should have ever made its way to publication, and I definitely do not buy the rumor of this was a product that was coming out, and then after the Nintendo Switch was doing so well in March, they pulled the plug on it, and then basically pivoted to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in June. Like, there's no way they would be able to do that so quickly from March to June of the same year. That's just not feasible. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. What do you guys think about Pokemon Stars? The fact that we had this article talking about the first ever Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch being a definitive edition, the third version to Pokemon Sun and Moon. But then we got the definitive edition to Pokemon Sun and Moon announced in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on the Nintendo 3DS. What do you think exactly happened here? Do you agree with me that this is probably something that someone saw internally that was just misinterpreted and then put into publication? Or do you think the story was just made up from the start? Or do you believe Tom and his sources saying that this was a product that was coming to launch, but they canceled it at the last minute and then came out with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on the 3DS? Let me know down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from Trainer DC. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.